Hey, Leonard Geddes here with the Learn Well projects. We all know that students are far more capable of success than they are experiencing. As educators, parents, and just casual observers of human behavior, we get this. We see the potential students possess, but we also see students fall short of this potential. Well, I can assure you of two things. One, learning is an intrinsic human function. We are born to learn, as Dr. Rita Smilkstein popularized in her book. And two, students are far closer to consistent, across the board high performance than it may appear. This is good news because it means we don't have to shove students to success. We just have to gently and strategically nudge them. So creating the conditions for students to thrive is a multifaceted challenge. It involves things students need to do, and it also involves things faculty can do. In this video, I'm going to focus on things students can do. The student challenge has two issues. I'll use the animation lab to illustrate the challenge so that we are crystal clear in what we face and we have clarity about how to empower students to solve their situations. Let's go to the animation lab. The first issue, students are using the wrong thinking skills on test material. The specific cognitive skills and processes that they use to study and learn the material don't match the cognitive skills that are being assessed on their test and tasks. The second issue, students are attempting to do complex, abstract work in their heads. Each of these problems presents its own challenges. However, these problems are combining with each other to create a real headache. Let's pull these issues apart. There is a formula for doing cognitively complex academic work. In my forthcoming book, How to Successfully Transition Students into College, I call it the learner's formula. If students get any of these factors of this formula wrong, then they will underperform. By underperform, I mean they will not learn sufficiently, and therefore they won't perform well on assessments. Most students get the content element right, because content is the most visible and obvious factor in a course. However, very few students get the cognitive element correct, and if they don't get it correct, then it is unlikely that they will get the time element correct as well. Students are poor at apportioning time for academic work because they aren't acutely aware of the thinking they must invest in the task. So a key outcome is to get students to do the mental work that they will be required to do on assessments while they are studying, attending class, and doing other types of academic work. This is why we must start with ensuring students can differentiate their thinking skills. If they lack this skill, then everything else will be much, much harder. Okay, so let's say you've helped students differentiate their thinking skills. Congratulations, you have now positioned these students for success. So let's get to the other issue, doing complex, abstract work in their heads. If I were to tell you to multiply 4 times 6, you would quickly do this work in your head. But if I told you to multiply 246 times 379, you would likely write the problem down and then solve it on paper. Why? The work required to solve the second problem is too complex to do in your head. It's not that you're incapable of solving the problem. The challenge is that your mind cannot mentally represent working through the math in your head. This is the challenge with abstract work. One key reason students can be successful in high school but then struggle in college is because college work is much more complex and therefore requires more abstract labor. So if we want to empower students to do high quality academic work, then we must help them think properly while they are interacting with material, and we must make the work less abstract. The ABCs of academic work assignments were created to help you do just that. Assignment A, Decoding Course Outcomes, helps students discover the key thinking skills that are needed throughout the course. Assignment B, optimizing your thinking, helps students use their notes to compare their current thinking to the thinking requirements of the course. And then it provides a framework they can use to adjust and ultimately optimize their thinking. The mental work students must engage in to do assignments A and B create the conditions for cognitive fusion. We want to fuse together the thinking elements of the course to the thinking work students must do. This macro level work creates the proper cognitive context for students to work. In assignment C, redefining your role helps students reconceptualize how they must think as they engage with the material throughout the course. Getting students to complete these 3 assignments will help them think well, learn well, and perform well. This concludes the first lesson of the ABCs of academic work. My purpose here was to provide you some context for the problem students are facing and to lay the groundwork for the solution we'll be using. In session 2, I'll wrap all of this up into 7 steps you can use as guidelines when you're working with students. But before we move ahead, let's reflect on some of the key points that were presented in this lesson by completing the short accompanying activity.